The Pilgrim, November 21st, 1998. The Pilgrim had always been there, as far back as Delia could remember. Every Thanksgiving, her mother pulled the decorations from the attic, cornucopias, paper turkeys, and that same plastic Pilgrim figure with its painted-on smile and dusty brown coat. It stood about 2 feet tall with scuffed black boots and tiny, unnervingly detailed eyes that seemed to catch the light too well. Her mother loved it. Delia hated it. It's tradition, her mom would say every year, dusting it off and setting it on the mantel. But Delia swore it had started showing up in places no one had left it, its blank face following her like an accusation. She'd mentioned it once when she was younger, but her mom had laughed it off. "You've got wild imagination," she said. So Delia stopped mentioning it. This year, the house was quieter. Her dad had moved out in August, the divorce finalizing faster than anyone expected. Her older brother, Marcus, was away at college, leaving just Delia and her mom to keep up the traditions. "Set the table," her mom called from the kitchen. Delia rolled her eyes and grabbed the plates. She didn't need to look to know the Pilgrim was already in its usual spot, staring from the mantel with that stupid painted-on smile. But when she glanced up, it wasn't there. "Where's the Pilgrim?" Delia asked. Her mom poked her head into the room, wiping her hands on a dish towel. "What do you mean?" "It's right," she paused, frowning. "I put it up there this morning." Delia shrugged. "Maybe you forgot." Her mom muttered something under her breath and went back to cooking. Delia told herself not to care, but her chest felt tight. The Pilgrim was never just gone. Later that night, Delia was heading upstairs when she froze. The Pilgrim was sitting on the couch. Its stiff legs dangled over the edge, and its head was tilted slightly to the side, as if watching her. Her breath caught. "Mom," she yelled, backing into the wall. Her mom appeared in the doorway, annoyed. "What now? Why'd you put it there?" Delia pointed at the couch, her hands shaking. Her mom frowned, picking up the figure and turning it over in her hands. "I didn't put it here. You must have moved it." "I didn't touch it," Delia snapped. Her mom sighed and put the Pilgrim back on the mantel. "You've been acting weird lately," she said as she walked back to the kitchen. Delia stared at the Pilgrim for a long moment, its smile sharper under the flickering light. That night, Delia dreamed of the Pilgrim. In the dream, she was standing in the living room, but it wasn't her house. The walls stretched upward endlessly, and the furniture seemed warped, like it had melted under the weight of time. The Pilgrim stood on the mantel, but it wasn't still. Its painted eyes darted around the room, its stiff limbs twitching. "You don't belong here," it whispered, its voice low and grainy, like an old tape recorder. Delia tried to move, but her feet were rooted to the floor. The Pilgrim stepped down from the mantel, its boots clacking against the wood. It was taller now, its face cracked but smiling wider, its eyes fixed on hers. "You never did." She woke up gasping, her heart pounding. Her room was freezing, and the door to her closet was ajar. She always kept it shut. Her gaze flicked to the corner of the room. Sitting on her desk, perfectly still, was the Pilgrim. Delia didn't scream. She didn't move. She lay frozen in bed, her breath shallow, her eyes locked on the figure. Minutes passed. Hours. Finally, when the first light of dawn crept through the window, she worked up the courage to leave her bed. She grabbed the Pilgrim with trembling hands and threw it into the attic, slamming the door shut. Her mom found her pacing the hallway. "What's gotten into you?" she demanded. "It was in my room," Delia whispered, her voice shaking. "I didn't put it there." Her mom rolled her eyes. "It's just a decoration, Delia. It doesn't move." "It does," Delia hissed. Her mom frowned, looking more concerned now. "You're just stressed. Get ready for dinner." rest of the day felt off. The house was too quiet, the air too still. Delia couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching her. By the time dinner was ready, her nerves were raw. She sat at the table, picking at her food, while her mom chatted as if nothing was wrong. And then the lights flickered. Delia's fork clattered to her plate. Her mom froze mid-sentence, her head snapping toward the mantel. The Pilgrim was back. Delia's stomach dropped. Her mom's face twisted in confusion. How the Pilgrim's head turned. Slowly. Deliberately. Its painted eyes locked onto Delia. The house plunged into darkness. Delia felt her mom's hand grab hers, pulling her out of the chair. "Run," her mom screamed. They stumbled through the pitch-black house, the sound of boots echoing behind them. "Mom, what's happening?" Delia cried. Her mom didn't answer. They reached the attic door, and her mom yanked it open, shoving Delia up the stairs. "Stay here," her mom whispered, her voice trembling. "Don't come down." Delia grabbed her mom's arm. "No, you can't," but her mom pulled away, slamming the attic door shut. The noises downstairs grew louder. Delia pressed her ear to the floor, her heart pounding. She could hear her mom's voice, low and pleading, followed by a sharp crack. Then silence. Delia waited, tears streaming down her face, her hands trembling. The attic door creaked open. Delia held her breath, her eyes fixed on the darkness below. A figure appeared at the bottom of the stairs. It wasn't her mom. The Pilgrim stepped forward, its painted smile now a jagged grin, its eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. "You don't belong here," it whispered, climbing the stairs. Delia backed into the corner, her body shaking. "What do you want?" she screamed. The Pilgrim stopped, tilting its head. "This is my table now." The next morning, the house was silent. Neighbors found the dinner table still set, the food untouched. On the mantel stood the Pilgrim, its painted face cracked but smiling. No one ever saw Delia or her mom again. If you ever find an old Thanksgiving decoration, remember, some traditions should stay forgotten.